Welcome everyone to Reunion Convocation, and welcome back to Bowdoin. My name is John Schucke, a member of the class of 1999 and president of the Alumni Council. This weekend, we are joined on campus by over 2,000 alumni and guests representing class years from 9 decades. A special thanks to Don Hare from the class of 1951, our most senior alum, who is with us here this weekend. Polar bears have traveled from as far away as Alaska, France, Hawaii, Switzerland, or as near as across Main Street. The broad reach of our Bowdoin connections is realized in this assembled crowd, so thank you for joining us. The bell you just heard is the Hesperus bell, an important relic of both Bowdoin and American history. Originally stationed on the cliffs of Rafe's Chasm in Gloucester, Massachusetts, the bell is thought to be the same warning bell mentioned by Bowdoin's own Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in his famous poem, The Wreck of the Hesperus. For many years, the ringing of the Hesperus bell marked the opening of the commencement dinner here at the college. This morning, the bell calls us together to celebrate Bowdoin and some of the remarkable alumni who have served the college and the common good with distinction. I'm excited to introduce them all to you, but first, I would like to welcome Bowdoin's 16th president, Safa Zaki, to the lectern to offer remarks. Safa.
Good morning. It's wonderful to see so many alumni back on campus, to see you connect again with each other and with this place. I've already noticed several of you stopping in front of dorms to do the silent math. Which floor, which window, which year. I'm told this is part of a ritual. A connection to the Maine environment is a vital part of a Bowdoin education, so naturally, the Maine environment decided to join us this weekend. Bowdoin has, for over 2 centuries, devoted itself to a particular kind of patient work, teaching young people to be drawn towards what they do not yet understand. That work has always run somewhat counter to the rhythms of the wider world. It is slow work, the work of sustained conversation, of argument that can change the people having them, of reading slowly enough to be surprised, of mentorship and friendship, of returning to a difficult question long after the moment that asked it has passed. That work feels especially distinctive now. You will hear, sometimes loudly, that a liberal arts education is impractical, that close reading is a luxury, that curiosity for its own sake is something the world cannot afford. I want to suggest that the very opposite is true. We live in a moment when the careful distinction between what is asserted and what is true is not always honored, and when the patience required to tell the difference is sometimes treated as a weakness rather than as a discipline. The capacity Bowdoin develops in its students to follow an argument carefully, to sit with a difficult text or a stubborn data set, to hold 2 competing ideas in mind without collapsing into either one, to know the difference between believing something firmly and knowing it well. Those capacities are exactly what the world needs. This morning, I want to describe for you what that patient work has looked like on campus this year. At Bowdoin, intellectual life has always been deeply relational. Faculty are not simply sources of expertise. They are mentors, collaborators, artists, scientists, scholars, and teachers who invite students into new ways of seeing and understanding the world. For example, this year, Professor Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson received a Time Earth Award for her leadership on climate change. Professor Jen Tabak was named a Fellow of the American Mathematical Society. Professor Abby Colleen returned to King Lear and the role of Goneril for an off-Broadway run of 16 shows this winter. And this week, she continues in the role as part of the International Shakespeare Festival in Craiova, Romania. Professor of Education Charles Dorn served on the organizing committee for an international conference, Universities in the Public Good, Research, Education, and Democracy since 1945, held in Hanover, Germany. Faculty published celebrated novels and translations, exhibited photography and paintings, and contributed expertise on climate science, cybersecurity, public health, and democracy, shaping conversations well beyond this campus. A deeply relational spirit also shapes how Bowdoin approaches some of the most defining questions of the present moment. The Hastings Initiative for AI and Humanity has already transformed the intellectual life of the college. All 10 faculty lines have been allocated to areas across the college, ranging from philosophy to government and legal studies to computational neuroscience. Dozens of grants have funded students and faculty projects exploring artificial intelligence from the perspectives spanning computer science, environmental studies, economics, the arts, and the humanities. What excites me most about this work isn't the technology itself. It's the chance to bring human judgment to one of the biggest technological transformations happening in our world. Bowdoin's approach to AI is grounded in the conviction that the liberal arts belong at the center of these conversations, not at the edges. One project taking shape through the initiative, the Environmental Impact Lab, looks at the environmental cost that comes with AI systems and digital infrastructures. It asks not just what these technologies can do, but what responsibilities come with building and using them. Our students are amazing. This year, Bowdoin students earned 17 Fulbright fellowships, once again placing the college among the top in the nation. Students received Watson fellowships, a Goldwater scholarship, Roosevelt Network fellowships, and numerous other awards. Just as importantly, students continue to create joyful and deeply human connections here on campus. They have founded organizations like the Wandering Polar Bear Book Club. They launched a second season of the Pine State Politics podcast. They celebrated the 30th anniversary of BOCA, Bowdoin's oldest co-ed a cappella group. They debated ideas in the new Pusinian Room within the freshly renovated Sills Hall, performed music late into the night, created art, played intramural sports, and built community in ways large and small. Our student athletes also had a remarkable year. Women's basketball completed an undefeated NESCAC regular season. Woohoo! Men's soccer and men's and women's tennis advanced to the NCAA quarterfinals. Get ready to do some clapping. Men's lacrosse reached the national semifinals. Women's cross country and softball returned to the NCAA championship competition for the first time since 2007 and 2010, respectively. Women's rugby captured its second consecutive NERA Division III Sevens championship, and Bowdoin sailors competed on the national stage. At the NCAA skiing championship in Utah, Emma Crum from the class of 2026 earned her second All-American honor, the first skier in Bowdoin's history to achieve that distinction. 424 athletes earned NESCAC All-Academic honors this year, and that's 78% of all eligible varsity athletes, reflecting the seriousness with which our students pursue both intellectual and athletic excellence. And our alumni are also amazing. Long after graduation, Bowdoin alumni continue to engage seriously with ideas, public life, and the pressing questions of our time. Or should I say, the pressing answers of our time. Many in our community took pride in watching James Dennison from the class of 2014 become a four-time champion on Jeopardy! Serena Zabin from the class of 1991 brought her scholarship to a national audience through Ken Burns' documentary, The American Revolution. Phil Gregory from the class of 1976 returned to campus to discuss his work representing young people in landmark climate litigation. And you may have heard that a member of the class of 2014, Zohran Mamdani, was elected and serving as the mayor of New York. And in doing so, leading one of the largest cities in the world. An extraordinary recent addition to Bowdoin's collections at the Peary Macmillan Arctic Museum is the Brian and Sherry Alexander Photographic Archive. Decades of photographs and journals documenting communities and landscapes across the circumpolar north. What moves me about the collection is not simply its scale, but the discipline of attention it represents. The decision to keep observing, recording, and returning to a place over time. Reunions ask us to practice that same kind of attention. The work this college does, and the work all of you do in carrying its values through your lives, does not lend itself to immediate measurement. Friendships unfold across decades, habits of mind take root quietly, obligations to one another deepen in ways that only become visible in retrospect. In a moment when so much in our world rewards speed, certainty, and the appearance of confidence, what matters most about Bowdoin is exactly what cannot be hurried. The patient work of leaning in to think carefully, to live alongside people whose experiences differ from our own, and to remain open to being changed by what you find out. None of this would be possible without our remarkable faculty and staff who sustain this in this institution every day. Yes. This year, we celebrated 24 retiring faculty and staff members whose combined service to Bowdoin totaled more than 4 centuries. That kind of commitment is increasingly rare and profoundly meaningful. It is also sustained by all of you. Your generosity, loyalty, and belief in the mission of the college allow us to remain ambitious about what Bowdoin can be, while staying grounded in the values that have defined us for generations. Thank you for being part of this patient, ongoing, and deeply human work. Welcome back.
Thank you, Safa. We will continue today's ceremony with a presentation of the Alumni Service Award. The Alumni Service Award is the highest honor that the Alumni Council bestows, and I'm delighted to acknowledge Dr. David A. Dixon II, class of 76, parent 13, as this year's award recipient. David, please join me here for a moment. I have a long introduction. I'm going to read the citation that will be on David's award. David A. Dixon II of the class of 1976. Bowdoin parent, scholar, and educator, you have, since your undergraduate days, been committed to an ethos of service to the college and to the common good. As a student, a college professor, an administrator, and an advocate. A member of the second generation of a storied three-generation Bowdoin family, distinguished all by their academic and professional achievement, you speak with clear-eyed authority about the challenges and obstacles faced by students and alumni of color at the college and in our society. Over the years, you have repeatedly demonstrated your love for Bowdoin through your willingness to identify problems and to dedicate yourself to finding remedies. As a student, you were actively involved in the African American Society, serving as the Society's Minister of Culture. In that role, you led efforts to advocate for Black students' interests on campus, engage the college administration in discussions about the recruitment and retention of Black students and faculty, and promote discussion on campus concerning issues of race. You later thoughtfully shared your knowledge about the history and the complexity of Bowdoin's campus culture during the 50th anniversary celebration of the AFAM in 2019, helping younger alumni and students understand and appreciate the hard-won progress made at Bowdoin during and since your own time as a student. You graduated in 1976 summa cum laude as a government and history major and member of Phi Beta Kappa. After earning a PhD in government from Harvard University, you taught international relations at Northeastern University, Beloit College in Wisconsin, and Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, before accepting an appointment at George Washington University in 2003, a position you held until your retirement in 2019. Your groundbreaking academic research has focused on the process of U.S. policy formulation and the nexus between ethnicity and interest group activities. Your engagement in the life of Bowdoin has continued unabated over the years. As a member of the Alumni Council, you have shared your insights and recommendations, built community, and undertaken important work as a member of the Minority Affairs Committee. As one of the founding members of the Bowdoin College Black Alumni Association, or BCBAA, you helped to draft the bylaws for the organization, served on the coordinating council, and co-chaired the BCBAA committee that produced an action plan to engage and re-engage alumni, current students, families, and prospective students. You have also served on the Reunion Committee for the class of 1976 and represented the college at the inauguration of the president of George Washington University. Your encouragement of those with whom you work, your long-standing knowledge, and your understanding of Bowdoin's complex history have been invaluable assets for the BCBAA and for the college, and Bowdoin presidents over the years have benefited from your thoughtful letters and emails on a variety of topics. On this occasion of your 50th reunion, for all that you have done to constructively spur and support Bowdoin and the college community in their work to represent values of inclusivity, reflection, and intellectual rigor, we are proud to present you with the 2026 Alumni Service Award. We celebrate this honor alongside Lisa, your family, your classmates, and your many friends. Congratulations, Dave. There you go. There's the camera right there. I'll hold it for you over there. Thank you.
John, thank you for your great work on behalf of the college and your kind words. President Zaki, my fellow honorees, my class of 1976. Woo! All who are here as part of the larger Bowdoin diaspora. I am humbled and honored. So many of you out there are deserving of this award. I also want to extend my gratitude to the incredible Alumni Council officers and Alumni and Development Office staffs, including my staff liaison, Carmen Sutyek, and Inspiration John Cross, along with my wife, Lisa, son Jacob, and daughter-in-law Nikki, class of 2013. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my granddaughter Skylar, Bowdoin class of 2046. We hope. And my one day old grandson, Theodore Spencer, who is yet to declare a college. My paternal grandparents, Mary and David, emigrated from Jamaica to Portland, Maine in 1911. Yes, they left balmy Jamaica for the sometimes daunting winters of New England. Working as a seamstress and a custodian in Jim Crow America, my grandparents raised 4 sons, including my father, who attended Bowdoin on scholarships in the 1930s and early 1940s. Bowdoin altered the trajectory of my family, as it has for so many others. As we gather in a polarized America, and many succumb to anger and despair, service can be a source of joy and perhaps a pathway to the discovery of commonalities among us. The pathway resembles my beloved Zumba dance classes. Believe me, it is not easy to dance in these robes. Step by step. Bowdoin Beata. Thank you.
We will now present the Alumni Award for faculty and staff. This award is meant to honor a faculty or staff member who has demonstrated loyalty and devotion to Bowdoin, not only in fulfillment of his or her position at the college, but also through active involvement in a broad number of activities and with a broad group of constituencies during his or her time at Bowdoin. The award is presented for service and devotion to the college, recognizing that Bowdoin, in a large sense, includes both students and alumni. This year, because we could not decide on just one, we're going to recognize 2 members of the Bowdoin community, Professor Ann Kibbe and Scott Micklejohn. Ann, will you please join me at the podium first? Thank you. Associate Professor of English Ann L. Kibbe, you have brought your curiosity, creative energy, and dedication to your students, to your colleagues, and to the entire Bowdoin community since you joined the faculty in 1989. Your scholarship has broken new ground by investigating the intersection of the historical, cultural, economic, and scientific elements that underpin Restoration and 18th century British literature. You have breathed extravagant life into historical and fictional characters and the worlds they inhabited through your research, and with it, you have ignited your students' curiosity and imagination. Your many publications and varied interests include the sentimental novel, Gothic literature, film noir, representations of money and capital in early modern literature, the nexus of law and literature, and interdisciplinary studies that link literature to 19th century medicine. As part of a collaborative project in your class, Imagining London in the 18th Century, students generated maps that allowed them to track the movements of real life and fictional figures around London. Your spirited uptake of digital tools and the study of humanities has been inspirational and encouraging. Although you took time after college to decide your next step, it took you no time to establish your reputation as an exceptional teacher once you had. In 1992, you received the Sidney B. Karofsky Prize for Junior Faculty, which is awarded on the basis of student evaluations to an outstanding Bowdoin teacher who best demonstrates the ability to impart knowledge, inspire enthusiasm, and stimulate intellectual curiosity. One of your former students wrote, "You had an enthusiasm for literature that was contagious, and that you had a love for teaching and for those you teach that is impossible to overlook." In presenting you with this award, we also recognize your service to the Bowdoin community, both within and beyond the classroom. In addition to serving on a number of campus committees, you were the faculty liaison to the Alumni Council for several years, working closely and effectively with the council members, the Alumni Fund directors, and the Basic National Advisory Board, while ensuring that faculty interests and concerns were well represented. You were also found on the sidelines and audiences of many a student event, and you may be one of the only faculty members ever to accompany first-year students on an orientation trip. For all of this, your outstanding and innovative scholarship, your dedication to teaching, your engagement on committee work, and your warm and insightful contributions to the many groups that serve the alumni community, we are proud to celebrate with your family, former students, friends, and colleagues, and to present you with the 2026 Alumni Award for faculty and staff. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, John, and to the entire Alumni Council. No words could ever express how honored I am to receive this award. I've spent much of my Bowdoin career teaching John Milton's 17th century epic Paradise Lost, and some of you here may have read it with me. So I hope you'll forgive me if I can't help viewing today through the lens of Milton's poem. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about God or Satan. In the poem, they have more than enough to say for themselves. I just want to reflect very briefly on our own relationship to a beloved place. I think that if instead of the short week Adam and Eve spent in their paradise, they could have spent 4 years, they would have begun to refer to it with a certain sense of irony, born of their growing unease with their privilege as residents, as the Eden bubble. But they've barely started working on their organic garden when they're suddenly on the other side of a gate that is guarded against their return by an angel with a flaming sword. In the final lines of the poem, as Adam and Eve step out hand in hand into what will now be their world and our world, their future and our future, Milton's magnificent pyrotechnic poem suddenly becomes very quiet. Some natural tears they dropped, but wiped them soon. The world was all before them. At last Saturday's commencement, as I do at every commencement, I thought of those lines. And thinking back to your own feelings on your graduation day, whatever year it might have been, I'm sure that each and every one of you will recognize how apt they are. These lines seemed especially poignant to me this year, however, as I too am graduating, that is, retiring. And even though I did shed some tears, I also had to laugh at how appropriate President Zaki's and Scott Perper's beautiful remarks were on that day for this senior. Milton ends his poem on this threshold. He goes no further. But you alums and I understand what Adam and Eve do not yet know, that no matter how long we have lived in it, the world is in fact always all before us. We are always stepping over a threshold into our future selves. And you and I get what Adam and Eve do not, a periodic invitation back. No flaming swords here. Bowdoin is a paradise with a much more welcoming alumni office. As I step over this latest threshold, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for having been part of the life of the college. I won't say that my students have kept me young, but I can say to all of my former students, you've kept me on my toes, and today on a box, so I can see you over this podium. You've challenged me, you've taught me, and I've never lost sight of how lucky I am to have known you and to continue to know you as you constantly surprise me with your new selves. So here's to this and to our next reunion. Thank you so much.
Scott Micklejohn, will you please now join me at the podium? Scott Micklejohn, trusted advisor and key member of the leadership team for 4 Bowdoin presidents. You have worn many hats since you arrived at the college in 1997. Beginning with several positions in development and alumni relations, your work took you across campus as you served as assistant to President Barry Mills, Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid, Senior Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations, and Senior Advisor to President Safazaki. Very few in Bowdoin's history have achieved a record of service that is comparable breadth, depth, and impact. After your graduation from Colgate in 1977, you began your distinguished career in education administration, serving as Director of Admissions at Hebron Academy, Director of Alumni Relations at Colgate, and Headmaster at the La Pietra School in Honolulu, Hawaii. You remained active as a volunteer at Colgate, serving as President of the Alumni Corporation Board of Directors, and then as a member of the Colgate Board of Trustees. During your Bowdoin years, you also served as a trustee at Kents Hill School and the Waynfleet School, both in Maine, where you worked with others to strengthen those school communities. At Bowdoin, you quickly established yourself as an effective fundraiser and ambassador for the college with trustees, alumni, parents, and other members of the community. You are a veteran of successful capital campaigns under 3 Bowdoin presidents, and your ability to connect alumni and parents who are scattered across the globe to Brunswick and the life of the college has played an important role in those fundraising successes. A remarkable feature of your career at Bowdoin has been your willingness to turn your talents in whatever direction is needed to advance the college's interests. As Assistant to the President and Senior Vice President of Planning, Institutional Advancement, you worked closely with architects, landscape designers, and senior staff on a campus master plan, and chaired the building committee to create a new facility, Watson Arena, as a replacement for Dayton. When a need arose for an interim Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid, President Mills asked you to step into that role. You proved so adept at the Herculean task of managing personnel, promoting Bowdoin around the world, and gracefully handling the pressures that accompany difficult admissions decisions in the face of record numbers of applications that your role of Dean was made permanent in 2009. As Dean, you spearheaded an unprecedented geographic and socioeconomic diversification of both the applicant pool and the student body at the college, overseeing an increase of more than 50% in the number of different high schools sending at least 1 application to Bowdoin. In 2016, at the request of President Clayton Rose, you assumed the leadership of the Development and Alumni Relations Program and began working with trustees and staff to plan a $500 million fundraising campaign. The public phase of the campaign was announced in February of 2020, just as the COVID pandemic began to take hold in the United States. Great timing. Yeah. In the fall of 2021, with the campaign well underway, and after nearly a quarter century of service to Bowdoin, you took a brief retirement. But you were pulled back in 2023 by President Zaki to lead the campaign in the home stretch. Under your leadership, the From Here campaign raised $542.8 million. Wow. Making it the largest campaign in the college's history. Retirement continued to elude you through 2024, 2025, and early in 2026. And the Bowdoin community is grateful that you returned, again at President Zaki's request, for one final influential role as senior advisor. Today, along with Ellen and your many friends and admirers across the Bowdoin community, we celebrate you for your wisdom, your hard work and energy and dedication, gifts that have enriched the life of the college beyond measure, and for the extraordinary legacy that you leave behind. It is our honor to present you with the 2026 Alumni Award for faculty and staff. Congratulations, Scott. Thank you, Jared.
I would use this little step stool, but I could only get 1 foot on it. Probably okay without it. Thank you very much, John. Good morning, President Zaki, and congratulations, Ann and David and Ann, on your well-deserved recognition. And good morning, everyone. It was a lucky thing for me to join Bowdoin. I was lucky that Bob Edwards, Barry Mills, Clayton Rose, and Safa Zaki were willing to keep experimenting with me, moving me from place to place. Whether those decisions were made from exasperation, patience, or confidence, we prefer not to look too deeply, but the moving around became a reward of its own. I was fortunate to know Bowdoin from several locations around campus and to know colleagues in new offices, and I learned a lot. Thank you to all my Bowdoin colleagues, particularly the teams in the President's Office, in Admissions and Student Aid, in Communications, and in Development and Alumni Relations. Your devotion to the college is impressive, and I enjoyed our work together. Most of what I did at Bowdoin was tell stories. Admissions and development, which seem different, are really the same thing. Talking about Bowdoin and trying to engage people in what this great college is all about. There are some differences, mainly that people called me back a lot faster when I was in admissions. But many of you return my calls, even after I moved to development. Looking at you, class of '76. Telling Bowdoin's story came to mean a lot to me. And I was always especially proud to talk about our commitment to student financial aid. As you all know, very few colleges in the world bend their resources to create opportunity the way Bowdoin does, to hold the door open as we do to students whose families cannot afford it. This commitment is not easy. It is not what 99% of colleges and universities choose to do or could afford to do, but it's who we are. I'm grateful to everyone here and to thousands of others who are not here today, to all of you who have stood behind Bowdoin's financial aid promise as donors and believers. Thank you. Safa, I don't quite know how to thank you for terminating my happy retirement in 2023. It became a bit of a joke, Safa's joke, that I kept saying yes because my negotiating skills are terrible. And they might be. In any case, getting to yes was usually a pretty short conversation. And lucky me, again, to come back from 18 months of bonbons in the Hallmark Channel to 3 more assignments at Bowdoin. Thank you, Safa. I'm very happy we had a chance to work together. Our good luck at work, even if it's abundant, is not as important as good fortune in our personal lives. Everyone should be lucky enough to have a friend like Ron Joyce, who I met in the fall of 1973 at Colgate. Ron, thank you for being here today and for all that you have done for Bowdoin. Our beautiful goddaughter, Charlotte, is in the front row with her mom, Amanda. Hi, Char. Thanks for coming. Finally, on my very first trip for Bowdoin in January 1997, the first plane ticket taking me from the Portland Jetport to New York to tell Bowdoin stories, I had a brief chance encounter with someone who I would meet again years later and who in 2020 would become my wife. Not a story for today, but more good luck for me. Thank you, Ellen, for the notes in my suitcase and for all you did to support me during my Bowdoin adventures. I'll close by invoking my good friend Tim Foster, former Dean of Student Affairs at Bowdoin. Tim spoke at many college events, often about some important aspect of our history and traditions, and he would always finish his remarks, pause, and say, "Thank you for listening."
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. It is now my honor to welcome President Zaki back to the lectern to present this year's Common Good Award.
Thank you, John. The Common Good Award recognizes Bowdoin alumni who personify the idea of the common good set forth by Bowdoin's first president, Joseph McKean, and it's presented to individuals who have demonstrated an extraordinary, profound, and sustained commitment to the common good in the interest and for the benefit of society, with conspicuous disregard for personal gains in wealth or status. The 2026 Common Good Award is presented to Anne Robinson Wadsworth. Anne, would you please join me at the lectern? Anne Robinson Wadsworth of the class of 1981, we recognize you today with the 2026 Common Good Award for expanding important educational opportunities for girls and women, and for your consummate skills in seeking solutions to problems through community-based collaborations, and for your commitment to identifying and channeling philanthropic resources to support this critical work. A native of Western New York and a self-described Buffalo gal who is passionate about things that happen both here and there, you have been an undaunted advocate for making the world we live in a little closer to the one we aspire to build. As a member of the board of Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper, you have engaged with environmental issues and domestic educational policies in significant ways. You served as president of the board for the East Aurora School District, helped launch Enterprise Charter School in Buffalo, lobbied on Capitol Hill for public education, and served as a trustee for the Buffalo Seminary, as well as a member of the Dean's Advisory Council for the Graduate School of Education at the University of Buffalo. In the course of earning an Executive Master's of Public Administration at Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs, you became deeply committed to the education of girls in Africa as a way to empower girls and women. You were named Executive Director of the Kenya Center for Excellence, a girls' school in Kenya, in 2011. That same year, you traveled to Tanzania and met with the Immaculate Heart Sisters of Africa, a religious order whose mission is to help vulnerable and marginalized members of society. You met this moment to join hands for the common good, and under your leadership, Girls Education Collaborative was launched. With you at its helm, the nonprofit provided project management and raised funding to build, open, and grow the Katenga Girls Secondary School, KGSS. Through your skills in listening to local agents of change and connecting philanthropists to the mission, you have helped make a community's dream a reality. KGSS now provides high-quality education for more than 200 girls, transforming not only their lives, but also those of generations to come. The graduates of the school you helped create have become change agents themselves, as they study to be lawyers, doctors, diplomats, teachers, and community leaders. In 2020, you scaled the Girls Education Collaborative model and created the Ally Funder Alliance, a philanthropic collaborative to help early-stage, girl-centered, and community-led initiatives in Tanzania grow their impact. Your influence has been significant and life-changing. You have inspired the Bowdoin community with the breadth and depth of your contributions to the common good. Your quiet and selfless actions are a powerful reminder of the truth in your message that, and I quote, "We are, after all, under the same sun and moon." On this day, a grateful college is proud to share with your family, your classmates, and your many friends from around the world in its celebration, honoring you as the 2026 recipient of the Common Good Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, President Zaki. I am truly and deeply honored to be getting the 2026 Bowdoin College Common Good Award. And I am truly, truly surprised to be receiving it. And likewise, thank you to the Board of Trustees for this moment of a lifetime recognition, and congratulations to my fellow honorees. I have 4 minutes to say a few words, and conveniently, there are 4 things I'd like to say. First, I want to say in this public forum, with you as my witness, I cry at Folgers commercials, so this is Thank you to my family who have gathered here with me today, especially my husband of 45 years, Billy Wadsworth, for the incredible support I have been given on this journey. I would not be here today without his championship and that of our amazing 3 children, Barrett, Hannah, class of 2009, and Jeremy. My deepest appreciation extends to my greater family and close friends, many who are also here today. Thank you for your generosity of understanding, support, and patience. As I stepped away from being mostly a stay-at-home mom into managing political campaigns and then founding Girls Education Collaborative, you have not only been my cheerleaders, but part of the success as well, as you stuffed envelopes, knocked on doors, wrote checks, came to events, came to Tanzania, and more. You were all the best. 2, I suspect previous award recipients have said something similar, but it is so important that it again deserves reiteration. I may be the figurehead of GEC because I was a founder and leader, but I was never, ever alone in this endeavor. I have been lifted up, pushed, mentored, challenged, and encouraged in the best way, and joined by some of the most incredible change agents on earth today. It is through this collective action that GEC took hold, got footing, and took flight. It's been a manifestation of Margaret Mead's belief that a small group of people can change the world. The community that has been built around GEC has been one of the most profound and beautiful experiences of my lifetime. This is a shared award for everybody who not only became part of my story, but part of the GEC story as well, and that includes a pretty incredible group of Tanzanian nuns. My heart is filled with all of you. 3rd, classmates, 45 years, imagine. Wow. To Bowdoin College, thank you for teeing up the circumstances that eventually led to my life's work, what I know I was meant to do. I especially would like to thank my advisor, Dr. David Kurtzer, who supported and encouraged my bit out of the norm desire to spend my junior year in Kenya, first with the St. Lawrence program, and second semester doing an independent study and eventually an honors thesis with an eccentric man from Harvard studying baboons and Masai Mara. Although, mind you, I did not know about the eccentric part until being in the thick of it. Time doesn't allow me to share with you how that year influenced my work and life decades later, but there is a very rich connective thread, and I am so grateful for it. So thank you to the college for being my advocate and helping prepare me for taking pathways with no clear signage or destination. And 4, I'm thrilled to be getting this award because it helps shine a light on the girls who have been my touchstone. The girls who are denied the educations they seek, the girls who are sold into marriage, traded for cows when they finish primary school, the girls who live in constant fear of sexual violence, the girls who want to show the world there's nothing a girl can't do. Even today, in our modern world, there remain millions of these girls. Inspired community leaders are fighting to rid their society of these destructive traditional practices and create pathways for girls to enjoy their inalienable rights, get educations, contribute to their growing economies, and fulfill their dreams. But they need advocates. They need us. Change is happening, but due to recent global circumstances, the pace of change is slowing, sometimes reversing. And we just can't let that happen. We have many, many challenges to hold in our hands during these fragile times. It can distract us from issues not in our immediate field of vision. I ask us to not lose sight of what might seem the periphery, because it is where humanity-lifting change is taking place, one girl at a time. Over the past 15 years, as I have spoken publicly about GEC, I have often borrowed from Bowdoin and talked about connecting communities for the common good. This has been my North Star, and I know it is for many here in this room. Let us take this moment to celebrate the common good as it reaffirms our humanity and agency. A small group of people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And congratulations to you and all of our award recipients. Before closing today's ceremony, we have 2 more Reunion Convocation traditions to attend to. First, I would like to add my own congratulations to our 50th reunion class and recognize them and their meaningful contribution to the college in honor of their reunion. Each year, Bowdoin depends on the generosity, enthusiasm, and spirit of its 50th reunion class to help secure the future of the college. The class of 1976 is continuing the tradition of the 50th reunion classes before them by raising for Bowdoin, to date, an impressive, hang with me here, $24,563,285 in outright gifts. This is not a coincidence. Their 76% donor participation smashed their past record of 64%. Congratulations. This achievement is due in no small part to the incredible 50th Reunion volunteers. Bowdoin is grateful for the leadership of 1976 and their continued investment in our students here at Bowdoin today. Again, congratulations. Second, and finally, please rise and join me in singing the alma mater, Raise Songs to Bowdoin, the words to which are printed at the back of your program.